Hello, Michelle. How's it going today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Lindsay, be honest. Are you ever sassy? And if you are sassy, who are you sassy to?
Well, Michelle, there is a time and a place to be sassy, I mean, I can be sassy to my parents sometimes when I talk with them, more so when I was a teenager, of course,
Yeah.
but now I can be sassy at times. My family members, some friends, if have a bone to pick, for example.
Yeah, yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, there's a time and a place, don't you think? Don't you think?
Sometimes, yeah, it definitely happens. I do think that it happens to people a lot with their parents. I would say that that's where,
Yes.
well, especially my dad. I love my dad, but he would
Oh,
agree with this that I can sometimes have a little bit of a
um,
sass in my voice with him if he
oh.
asks me too many questions, and I'm
Oh,
like,
interesting. Okay,
right.
okay, yeah.
But I love my dad. But yeah, so I would say that's where it happens. I noticed that my son is starting to learn how to be a little bit sassy. Who I also love him.
Sassy is a great word, isn't it? I remember there was a
Sassy is a great
magazine
word.
when we were
Yeah.
when I was a kid, at least there was a magazine, Sassy Magazine. It was one of those
Oh, really?
teenage magazines, and I
Oh,
never
fun.
quite knew what the word was as a
Yeah.
kid, but I got the idea,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sort of a teenager
Exactly.
with a little attitude,
Yeah.
playfulness, and a little pushing back
Yeah.
on the world a little bit, right?
Yes. Yep.
Mhm.
Exactly. So, well, we're going to be talking about something that came up on a previous episode, something that was inspired by 2219. That episode was "Are You Out of Line? How to Talk About Boundaries in English." So definitely listen to that one. This came up. That's what we're talking about today.
Yep.
Lindsay used this in the beginning when she answered my question.
Yeah.
It came up in that episode, so this is inspired by that, and we're so take a listen to that as well, guys. To never miss any of our episodes, make sure that you hit follow wherever you listen to All Ears English.
Yeah, so guys, hit that follow button right now. That is your first priority before we get into this episode, because that is the way you can make sure that All Ears English comes to you, whether
Yes.
it's subscribing on YouTube or hitting follow on Apple Podcasts or hitting follow on Spotify. That way, we just drop into your queue. So we're right
Yeah.
there for you every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now Saturday.
Whoa, that's right. That's right. Okay, so
Yes.
let's get into this. You mentioned that we should do an episode on adding after different
Yeah.
statements. So,
Yeah.
when you think
Mm.
about this, why
Yeah.
would you add it in?
Well, I think sassiness is one good example. It's
One
not
good
the
example.
only
Right.
reason why you would add it in. It's one good reason. It's
Yes.
kind of putting a little more oomph, right? I love the word oomph.
Yeah.
That could be a keyword in the app today. Oomph, a little more muscle behind your response, adding a little bit of attitude, right?
Right. So, well, let's go back to what you said in the beginning. You said sometimes you have to be sassy. So what did that do there? Why
Yes.
didn't you could have just said sometimes you have to be sassy and that's it.
That's an interesting question. What did it do? I mean, like I said, it directed it a bit more towards you, right? It kind of showed that Um, a little bit more of an argument,
Mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm. And it just kind of bookended what you said. It sounds it just
Yeah, bookended.
sometimes it
Hmm.
feels that sometimes you have to be sassy. That it's great, but it almost feels like it's missing something. And that's why I think in that other episode you
Yeah,
felt the urge to add in. It's
yeah.
in a way it's also a little bit of a filler.
It's a filler, it makes it more conversational, it makes your sentences
Yeah.
flow more, so it's not
Yeah.
always just when you wanna be sassy and a little little
No.
a little bit of an attitude. There are other scenarios, we'll talk about them now, but
Yes.
I do think it just makes your English more native and natural, and that's why we're here, to learn real English with All Ears English, right?
Right, right. And let's be clear. So the pronunciation, it's not it's
Uh-huh.
It's so you would spell it
Right.
like YA, yeah, but
Right.
we really just go,
Yeah, we're gonna
right?
bridge those 2 words
Connect
together,
those. Yeah.
right? Good, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it adds another layer. It might alert someone to pay attention, maybe the attitude, but maybe just sharing something that you're bringing about an important point, seeing if the person agrees, whatever it may be. So let's do a few examples.
Yeah, let's do examples, yeah, okay.
Exactly. So let's start with this one about ice cream.
All right, here we go. I love ice cream, but it's not a good idea
Mhm.
to eat it every day, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So this is interesting because if I were just saying this as a broad statement, not really addressing everyone, I think I
Mhm.
wouldn't need the not really
Mhm.
addressing some, but instead, I'm in it is we're assuming when I add I'm in conversation with someone and I'm
Mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
giving my 2 cents on
Mhm.
diet and habits a little bit.
Mhm.
Do
Mhm.
you agree?
Right, right. I it's just giving your opinion. You're just talking about this diet and just tagging that onto the end. You
Right.
could have stopped without it, and that would have been fine as well, but you didn't.
But don't you think that because I've added it kind of means I'm addressing you or addressing someone? Like it's
Mhm.
kind of if I were just to make a broad statement, "Hey, I love ice cream, but I know it's not a good idea to eat every day, so I don't." Period. That's a
Right.
statement in isolation. However,
Mhm.
when I add at the end, it's kind of like I'm talking to someone.
Mhm. Mhm.
Do you agree or no?
Yeah, yeah, I do agree. I do agree.
Okay.
Yeah. More like
Okay.
I now I see a little bit more what you're saying. I think I got a
Yeah.
little confused, but yes,
Okay.
it is
Yeah.
more like you're talking to someone.
Someone, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe
Yeah.
they disagree, maybe they need some advice or consult or I don't know, but it creates a bit more cohesion,
Yeah,
um,
right.
showing that you're in dialogue with someone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what the next one is.
You're not supposed to leave your dishes in the sink in the employee break room, you know?
Right, exactly. So I would never add, if I were doing like a training. Let's imagine I'm doing a
Right.
walkthrough, like it's your
Right,
first
right, right.
day, and I'm giving you all the rules of the house of my
Yeah.
work of the corporation. You're not supposed to leave your dishes in the employee break room, period. Or you should not leave your dishes in the employee break room. But because you've just done that, you've
Right.
just left your dishes.
Right.
That's when I would say,
You know, right? So you're connecting it to this person, to what happened. You're
it would.
specific. Yeah, you're being more specific.
Yeah, it would be weird if I just came out and said, you're not just as a random statement. Ah,
I always used to hate it. I remember growing up when I felt that teachers were yelling at me before I did any not at me, but at the class before they did anything wrong. They'd be
ah,
going over the rules and they'd say it in this tone that was like,
uh,
"Oh, where yeah, you already did this wrong," even though it didn't happen. And it's because they were
ooh,
you they had they had experienced it
really?
in the past,
Interesting.
but,
Ah.
that was a pet peeve of mine, yeah.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, it's totally out of place to add and we should differentiate that this is a different, from just the filler,
Right,
right? When I add, at the end of this statement, you're not supposed to leave your dishes in the sink. I've
right.
seen that you've done that. That's different from just the filler of I don't know what else to say, so I'm gonna say,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
All right, Michelle, let's dig deeper here. Our listeners are going to want lots of examples. Let's make sure we're totally clear on this. Can I give the next example?
Go for it. So this is a little bit different.
All right. We still want to be aware of our timeline for the project. Okay, this is different.
Okay,
So
so
tell me
yes,
about this
this
use.
one my dad uses all the time. Now this episode, "Hey dad, I'll tell you how to listen to this one." My dad will a lot of times when he's checking if somebody agrees with him
Yeah,
or just to make sure, he might say, "Oh, we should leave at this time," Or it
right.
just kind of it's added in, "Oh, we should be aware of this," It's added in at the end to almost seek approval or
Approval. Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. Yeah. It's looking for agreement. Do
Mhm.
you agree? Do you approve? Are you on the same page? That's
Mhm.
totally different from the other example, guys, before the break of you're not supposed to leave your dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
Different intonation, too. Very, very different. Okay.
Right. Yes, exactly. Here's one more sassy one, and then we'll do a different one. We don't have all day, That's
Now that
like
matches up more with the
the
dishes in the
sass.
sink,
The
right?
sass. Yes, yes, yes. And then
Yeah.
I added in one more. This is with at the front. Lindsay, how would
Different.
this be
Oh my
done?
gosh, so far we've got two different ways, and we're going on to a third now.
Mhm.
This one's different too. This is the third. We should grab lunch soon.
Mhm. So this
Okay,
is
now. different.
introducing an idea, a proposal, a thought that you had, right?
Okay. Yeah. So I would call this our third use.
Mhm.
I think we found 4 uses so far, right? Because we've also got just the filler word.
Yes, that's
Um,
true. So let's just go over them.
yeah.
Filler word,
Mhm.
which I'm
Mhm.
guilty of doing a lot, I believe.
Sure. We both I'm sure if our listeners have the transcripts, they know we both do, right? Just
You
a filler
know,
word. Usually that would come after what you've said, in between the next idea.
exactly. Second one would
Mhm.
be sass. Sassy,
Second one,
sassy,
hey, you're not supposed to leave your dishes in the break room, right? That's
Yeah.
sassy.
What's the third one, Lindsay?
Right? So, looking for agreement or
Yeah.
approval, like what your dad does, we still wanna be aware of our timeline for the project, you know? You know?
Mhm,
Do you
mhm,
agree? Do
mhm.
you hear me? Are you in alignment with me? Right?
Yeah, right.
And then the 4th.
Or in introducing some sort of new idea, some sort of proposal, something that you've come up with something that you wanna share. We should grab lunch soon.
And it's fascinating how all 4 of these have completely different intonations,
Mhm. Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
It's
and
incredible.
and the truth is, I bet if we thought about it, we could do a whole other episode about more ways that this is used, but we're not gonna
Yeah.
overload you today. We have 4 that we've gone
S
over today, and these
Yeah.
are these are gonna really be useful, and it really depends on the context and the tone. So saying, in one way could be very rude, but
For
it could
sure.
also be completely benign and just
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, that's why we need context. I mean, each of these could be their own episode,
Yeah.
honestly. So,
Yeah.
don't get overwhelmed, guys. If it feels like a lot today, choose one and go with that, and then come back to
Mhm.
this episode in 6 months, choose the second one. Let's show our listeners in a role play though. Shall we do it?
Okay. All right, here we go.
All
So
right.
we are working together on a project for school and we are friends.
All right, here we go. We should make sure we can use the conference room during lunch?
True. There is a sign up sheet.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You could have told me that earlier.
Sorry. Okay.
All right, so I'm seeing some sass. I'm seeing
Mhm.
some
We
approval
didn't use all of
seeking,
them, but we
agreement
used some.
seeking. We
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't use all of them here. So the first one is which one? So we should make sure we can use the conference room during lunch? Which one is that?
Mhm. Seeking approval
Yeah,
or
seeking
agreement.
approval, seeking agreement. Are we on the same page? Do we align? Do you think that's true? Should we make sure we can use the conference room,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Okay. Now,
The next one, I said there is a sign up sheet. Now, this could be a little bit sassy, but it could also be I'm just telling you something. So it
yeah.
depends how I say it. Oh, there's a sign up sheet. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
could
yeah.
also be that. So this is a little complex, guys, but
Right. I think that one, if I had to put it in one of the 4 categories, and maybe there's a 5th category that this one belongs in, but if I had to put it in one of the 4, I'd put that in the sass category. But it doesn't
yeah,
have to feel sassy. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Especially at work, you don't necessarily want it to feel sassy in
right.
this way. There is a sign-up sheet. Yeah, I would put that in the sass category a
A
little
little
bit,
bit of sass,
right?
a little sprinkle of sass.
Like, why didn't you're kinda saying, "Hey, you didn't know
Like
about this?"
yeah, yeah, it's true, it's true. Even if I'm
Yeah.
not using that intonation, there's a little undertone, it's the subtext,
Right,
right?
right. Why should we bother to make sure there is a sign-up sheet, right?
Yeah, yep,
Yeah.
exactly, yep, and then, I sass it right back to you, and no, you sass it
Yeah,
right
now
back to
we're
me.
upping the sass, upping
And you said you you could have told me that earlier.
Yeah, now we're really sass to the max,
Sass
right?
to the max, I like
Sounds
that.
like going off the rails in our little work meeting
Uh-oh.
here, project meeting. Yeah, you could have told me that earlier, and then you're gonna feel that intonation even more so.
Yeah,
All
yep,
right. Good.
absolutely. Oh my
Interesting.
gosh.
Wow, Michelle. Wow. That's all I have to say today. Good
Yes.
episode. What's the takeaway?
All right, guys. This is very, very common. It's used all the time. One good way to start getting used to it is listening for it. So
Yes.
say, I'm going to listen for knows, or you could even just say, I'm going to listen for the sassy, I'm going to listen,
Yeah.
see if anybody is seeking agreement, and see if you can find different examples of it. Which one
Yeah.
do you hear the most? I assume that the filler, is the most common, but we want
That's
to
what I
find more than the filler,
Yeah.
and so just start out if you're not comfortable using these right away, or you feel like, well, I don't want to be sassy.
Right, right. Yeah.
Start out with a non-sassy one, or just listen and see how it goes. This is really very nuanced English, and a little bit complex, but we broke it down for you today, and we can always do follow-ups on even more ways to use this.
I love how native and natural this expression is. So
Yeah.
this is definitely a gateway to move into, C1, 99% fluency
Yeah.
guys. So definitely go after this. But what I would do is, as Michelle said, start by looking. Spend, 3 months just looking for it,
Yeah.
noting it,
Yeah.
listening to it, take transcripts, highlight them every time you see, and then put them into buckets. Which of the
Yeah.
4 buckets does
Classify
it belong
them.
in?
Yeah.
Or find a new bucket, and maybe we'll cover that one on another
Oh,
episode, right?
if you
But I
find another bucket,
Yeah, find
send it
another
to
bucket.
us.
I do agree with you though. I think that the one you're gonna find the most in most natural conversations is gonna be the
The
filler.
filler. Yeah.
And that's gonna occur when usually after someone has said something and they're just sort of thinking about the next thing to say.
Yeah.
That could also overlap with looking for agreement. It's almost
Yeah.
like I've said something and I hope you agree. And
Yeah.
this is sort of filling the space in between the next thing someone says,
True.
right?
Yes,
It's
yes, good
interesting.
point.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's good
it is
stuff.
interesting.
All right, guys.
Okay, well, thanks for chatting about that with me, Lindsay, today, and thank you all for listening. This was fun.
Yeah, good stuff, guys. Hit that follow button and don't forget that we publish now on Saturdays. So take us with you to the
Yes.
beach this summer, right?
Yes. Yes,
Wherever
I
you're
wanna
going
come.
on your summer adventures, we'll go with you. All right,
Yes.
Michelle. Talk to you
All
soon.
right.
Take care.
Okay, bye.